The United States has long been a leader in democratic governance, with the right to vote serving as one of its most cherished ideals. The electoral system, though sometimes a source of contention, is the mechanism by which citizens choose their representatives, hold them accountable, and ultimately influence the laws and policies that govern their daily lives. Among the policies that affect the everyday lives of millions of Americans, one stands out for its long-standing importance and widespread reach: Social Security. The Social Security program, designed to provide financial assistance to retirees, disabled individuals, and survivors of deceased workers, touches the lives of nearly every American, either directly or indirectly. Social Security is not just a program. It is a lifeline for millions, particularly older adults, who depend on it to cover basic living expenses. As the political landscape continues to evolve, one of the major debates centers around changes to the voting system. Some are advocating for nationalized voting, a system in which the federal government takes a more active role in overseeing and standardizing the elections, thus ensuring uniformity in how elections are conducted across the nation. Such a shift could have significant implications, not only for the functioning of elections, but also for the future of policies like Social Security. While the focus of the nationalized voting debate may be on voter rights, accessibility, and election integrity, the indirect consequences on other areas of governance, particularly Social Security, should not be overlooked. The current voting system in the United States is a decentralized one, with states having significant control over the rules and processes governing elections. This decentralized system means that voting laws and procedures vary from state to state, which can lead to disparities in access to the ballot box. Over the years, there have been numerous proposals to create a more uniform voting system, often focused on increasing accessibility and reducing barriers to participation. Proponents of nationalized voting argue that such a system would simplify the process for voters, ensure that all citizens have equal access to voting, and make it easier to track election results. Nationalized voting might include measures like automatic voter registration, expanded early voting, and uniform standards for mail-in ballots, all of which could reduce confusion and increase voter participation. However, the potential changes in the voting system also raise important questions about how they could affect public policy and the distribution of government resources, particularly for programs like Social Security. Social Security is funded through payroll taxes, and its benefits are determined by legislation passed by elected officials in Congress. The stability of the Social Security program, therefore, depends heavily on the political landscape, and any changes to the voting system that alter who gets elected or how they govern could have significant consequences for the program's future. One of the most immediate effects of nationalized voting could be an increase in voter turnout. Historically, certain groups have been underrepresented in the voting process, particularly younger voters and minority populations. If voting becomes more accessible through federal intervention, these groups may become more engaged in the electoral process, leading to a shift in the political priorities of elected officials. For example, younger voters, who may not directly benefit from Social Security in the short term, could advocate for reforms to the program that align with their interests. These reforms might include changes to the age of eligibility, the amount of benefits, or the way in which Social Security is funded. On the other hand, older voters who rely on Social Security for their income may push to protect the program from any proposed cuts or changes. The increase in voter participation could also lead to a shift in the balance of power in Congress. If more people vote, the party or candidates that advocate for Social Security protections may be better able to secure political victories. This could lead to increased pressure on lawmakers to address the financial sustainability of Social Security, particularly as the population continues to age. As more baby boomers retire, the strain on the program's resources is expected to grow, and policymakers may be compelled to make difficult decisions about how to sustain Social Security in the long term. The outcome of these decisions could be shaped by the preferences and demands of the electorate, which could be influenced by the expansion of voting rights, Moreover, the ability of voters to influence the policymaking process depends on who they elect to office. If nationalized voting leads to a more diverse electorate, it could change the types of candidates who are elected to Congress. Candidates who support Social Security expansion or reform may find themselves with more political support, while those who advocate for cuts or a more privatized approach to the program could face greater opposition. This shift could result in a more robust debate about the future of Social Security, with a greater emphasis on ensuring that the program remains solvent and effective for future generations. In addition to the potential shift in voter demographics and political power, nationalized voting could also affect the way in which Social Security is managed at the federal level. Currently, the Social Security Administration is an independent agency within the federal government, responsible for administering benefits and managing the program. The decisions made by the administration and its policymakers are often influenced by political pressures, including those from elected officials who are up for re-election. If the voting system changes in a way that allows more people to vote or changes the composition of the electorate, it could create new opportunities for voters to demand specific changes to how Social Security is administered. For example, if younger voters gain a larger voice in the electoral process, they may push for changes to the way Social Security is structured, perhaps advocating for adjustments that would ensure the program's long-term viability. Some may argue that Social Security needs to be modernized to address the needs of a younger workforce, particularly in light of changes to the job market and the rise of gig economy work. Others may advocate for making the program more inclusive, ensuring that more individuals have access to its benefits, particularly as the nature of employment changes in the 21st century. On the other hand, older voters who rely on Social Security for their livelihoods may seek to protect the program from any potential cuts or reductions in benefits. The potential impact of nationalized voting on Social Security would not be limited to the policy decisions made by elected officials. The way in which the public views Social Security and its future could also change as a result of increased voter engagement. For example, if more people become aware of the challenges facing the program, such as the long-term funding shortfall, they may become more supportive of measures to address these issues, such as raising the payroll tax cap or adjusting the age of eligibility. Similarly, a more informed electorate may push for greater transparency and accountability in the way the program is managed, demanding that policymakers take action to ensure that Social Security remains solvent and effective for generations to come. As with any proposed change, there are challenges and potential risks associated with nationalized voting. Some critics argue that the expansion of voting rights could lead to greater political polarization, with different groups pushing for conflicting policy solutions. The debates over Social Security could become even more contentious, with lawmakers forced to navigate a complex web of competing interests. Additionally, nationalized voting could introduce logistical challenges in implementing a more standardized system, particularly in terms of ensuring that all citizens have access to voting and that the results of elections are accurately counted. Despite these challenges, the potential benefits of a more inclusive and accessible voting system are significant. By ensuring that all citizens have an equal voice in the political process, nationalized voting could lead to a more representative and accountable government, one that is more responsive to the needs of the electorate. This, in turn, could have a profound impact on Social Security, ensuring that the program continues to serve the needs of those who rely on it while also adapting to the changing needs of the nation. In conclusion, the potential changes to the voting system, particularly the move toward nationalized voting, could have significant implications for Social Security. While the primary focus of nationalized voting may be on expanding voter access and ensuring that elections are fair and transparent, the effects of these changes could extend far beyond the voting booth. By increasing voter participation and changing the political landscape, nationalized voting could influence the future of Social Security, leading to a more robust debate about the program's long-term sustainability, its funding, and the benefits it provides to millions of Americans. Whether these changes will lead to greater protections for Social Security or require more drastic reforms will depend on the priorities and demands of the electorate as well as the political climate at the time. Nevertheless, the connection between voting rights and Social Security is clear. As voters' power grows, so too does their ability to shape the future of one of the most important programs in the United States.